So it is July 19th, 2024, and today at G&G we're gonna do a watch market update. Just because I feel like we haven't done one in a while, just talking about new releases that have came out, prices on watches, what our future outlook is on the market as far as pricing, where certain things are gonna go, and we'll also compare watches to other commodities. We're gonna kind of just see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of exciting stuff happening. Obviously, summer traditionally a bit slower than other times of the year, but there are pieces that are going up that we didn't expect to go up, pieces that are still trickling down that is surprising us as well.
So I think one watch, since it's been discontinued, that has gone up, and I wouldn't have honestly predicted it. It is a coveted Patek that everyone wears, but they made a lot of them. It's been out since 2012, is the 5164A. They were going around low 80s with new buckle, with the new 330 movement. Now you're seeing them around 90. This is one that has gone up. Really hard to find. We've been trying to find them for certain clients. It's also kind of boosted the 5164R, and now that they have the new release of the 5168G in blue, which just came down, but it's still really high in price, so right around 130.
I love it. It's a blue gray. People really like it. In terms of why I believe the 5164 is kind of making strides, I think people like the 40 millimeter Aquanaut size. There's just a bit too much real estate. It looks a bit too basic because, you look at a 5711, especially on bracelet, it has just a bit more going on. It's a bit more interesting lines, whereas the Aquanaut doesn't have those lines. The base 5167 is sometimes, to a lot of clients, just a bit too regular. Whereas the 5164, it's very well balanced. It adds a little bit of complexity to the watch that people really love, and there aren't any other options. In terms of a 40 millimeter Aquanaut, what else? You can't get anything else.
Yeah.
That's really it. They discontinued the stainless steel of the most desirable 40 millimeter Aquanaut. Of course people are going to buy it. And the reason why you have a big price jump, especially in the later years with the new clasp and the new movement, is Patek clients are very nuanced. If you have a piece that was released in 2012 and it was in production for, let's say, 11, 12 years, and only 1 or 2 of those years that the watch was in production was the watch was made with a new clasp and an updated movement, it's very rare, and clients want that rarity, especially when it's a watch that's as iconic for Patek and the Aquanaut line as the 5164 steel. So this is a watch that, yes, it has gone up significantly, but I could see it continuing to trail up. There really is that client demand for it.
Yeah, it's just such a classic watch, and just like you said, Patek clients always like fresher watches with the newer movements, newer style buckles, clasps, etc. That's just how Patek customers are. They really don't like used. They want everything brand new, even sealed. Some are picky and want sealed, or make sure to have the white tag. That's Patek. There are some Pateks that have gone down, but not really. I think Patek as a whole has stayed very strong, and I think because they don't make that many sport models, there's such a demand for all the sport models. The last year and a half, the Patek prices on all Aquanauts and Nautiluses have been relatively the same. Now let's move on to AP. AP came out with some really cool releases. They came out with the John Mayer not too long ago. They came out with the Travis Scott. All of their new releases that are really limited have gone through the roof. I can't even believe the prices that we're seeing on this Travis Scott. When it first came out, it seemed like there was, I don't know, maybe 50, 60, 70. They released a bunch out on the market, maybe half or maybe even a little bit more. The prices, started around 500. They came down. I think I even saw one for 360, 370, and now it's skyrocketed back up. All these new releases that AP is making is really, helping, I would say, the strength of their brand by always keeping their customers very interested, waiting for that new release, while the more basic Royal Oaks, your 15510s, the Chronos, those are starting to come down a bit more.
Yeah, Alec and I were talking about it. Obviously Alec used to have the 26320, and that watch seems to be holding a bit stronger than even the 26331. You're seeing a lot of these watches come down in the 30s, in the high 20s for, let's say, a basic Royal Oak 15400, they've definitely come down quite a bit. And what you really see with a lot of these limited APs is AP is not very forthright with the amount of which they make from a certain watch, but they are very, very, very limited. So you'll see, okay, Travis Scott comes out, people ask ridiculous numbers. There's always going to be a couple people that want it first, don't really care about the money, and they're going to pay these ridiculous numbers. And then there's a couple left in the market, so the people that have them reduce until those get bought up, and then there's none because it's obviously an incredibly limited piece, and then it only takes one person to really send in a request. No one has the watch. They keep asking more, I'll pay more, and then it resets the market. And you see it with a lot of these pieces that are incredibly limited. There's no company that has the prowess like AP that is as, they're constantly coming out with these new limited pieces.
It's crazy, and kudos to them on being so innovative, using different materials. They have the sand gold, the Travis Scott with the brown ceramic. They're using different colored Pantones in their ceramic. We've also heard that they're going to release a brown ceramic bracelet for the Travis Scott, which will be really cool. That's, to me, why I love AP so much, is just like how innovative they are. But yeah, they're more basic. Royal Oaks, codes, offshores have really gone down in price. Some of the Royal Oaks are now going at retail plus tax. The whole AD game is very, very tough because you have to spend a lot of money to get like a Travis Scott. I think it's nowadays, like by the time you get that, are you really going to make any money? So that's tough at the moment. They really keep their customers interested, the whole market interested with all the new releases that they're coming out with that are very impressive and keeps everyone's attention. Now, if we move on to Rolexes in general have slowly gone down in price. Obviously, Rolex makes more watches than anyone. We've seen, Daytonas come down, Day-Dates, GMTs. They came out with a few new releases not long ago. The ombre dials, which are going quite a bit above retail. They have the new gold Audemars, which everyone's anticipating. Everyone really wants that watch. Are they gonna make 1,000 of them? Like the last one, the white gold, we don't know. Are they gonna make 200? No one really knows. When that watch comes out, we think they're gonna start trickling out soon. I think there's a lot of customers out there of ours and other consumers that are gonna pay a lot of money for that watch because they think down the road, it is a special watch.
It seems to be, from my perspective, it seems more limited than the white gold one. It's exciting to see what happens. I think Rolex obviously is the biggest watch company. A lot of their watches are just seen as commodities, and the premium for Rolex was smaller on majority of their models than the premium you see across the board on AP. So I think a lot of when things do come down, the premiums are what's getting hit. And that's why AP is continuing to trickle down a bit more. Whereas Rolex, it seemed as though last month may have been more of a bottom, and we're pretty stable this month. There is always going to be a good amount of sales that are going to keep them pretty selling well. I don't see that Rolex is going to go down significantly more. There are some other watches that I think could come down a bit further. I really do believe that, come September, especially with a lot of macroeconomic factors that we are anticipating as well,
yeah.
I think there are a lot of very good buys right now and a lot of room to make money if that's what you're into in terms of your watch collection.
I saw an interesting article today that they haven't been exporting as many watches out of Switzerland to around the world. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know if they're trying to pull back. Obviously, they've raised retail on all the watches. Let's take a step back. Let's take a step back to 2018, okay? When we're looking at a Royal Oak or a Rolex Panda, what were they around those days?
So 2018, you're looking just kind of when they released the new ceramic Daytonas. That's the second year of production. They came out with them in 2017.
Yeah.
So when they first came out, I believe they were trading at 24,000 or 25,000 for the white and 22,000 for the black. Going into 2018, I think the prices came down a little bit. So let's say 23,000 and 20,000. Garrett, we were actually having this conversation this morning. Obviously, COVID changed the watch game significantly. You saw COVID come in 2020 and really spike pricing. And I actually used this analogy when I was a kid. My dad always wanted me to invest. And when he said invest, I always wanted something tangible. So I was like, all right, does gold count? account so I can get a little piece of gold and just feel it and hold it. And when you had a lot of younger people making money when COVID hit, cryptocurrency, there were a lot of different ways that just kind of came out of the blue, and people were getting very rich that were never rich before. And they wanted tangible assets. And when they saw watches, okay, so traditionally over the past, let's say 15, 20 years, watches have beat the S&P. I mean, people have made the comparison of the Daytona to the S&P for a decade or more. People were like, wow, I could buy a watch and it's an investment? Amazing. So it really caused a new group of individuals to enter the world of watches that caused a big spike in pricing due to, number one, that group having money, putting their money in watches, and number two, other assets not being very appealing at that time. Obviously, the stock market was very scary. COVID made a lot of things scary, and it really changed the watch game. So look, that did create a bit of a bubble, and we knew that that bubble would either pop or would be sustained by a new group of individuals that came on top of that group we just spoke about. So what we did see was a pop. Things normalized. So when people always ask me, like, what's your prediction? Like, how far do you think things will go? When do you think things will start going up again? I always say, hey, look, if the bubble popped, what would it look like if that bubble was never there? If we're at 24,000, 23,000 in 2018, traditionally these watches go up 7-8% a year. Let's add back that 7-8% over the ongoing 6 years.
And it's funny because that's kind of where we are now.
It's exactly
we see Panda, the new release, the 126500 2024 is right around 33 or 34 grand. That just goes to show over the long run with watches, just like S&P, you know, you're always going to see some gains. Now, like what Lake said, there was a lot of money and new money into watches, and it was an asset class where people made all this money, like, oh, I'll dump it here. They seem to keep going up, etc. Went up 100%, but then it fell 50%, sometimes even worse for certain watches. But we're seeing that over time, if you look at the 7-8% from 2018 to now, it's, you know, it's hit its number. It's still beating the S&P 500. The beauty of watches, what I really appreciate about watches, and I'm gonna actually use this example here. This is a very, very rare 5711 Tiffany stamped with the 330 movement, which maybe when things were at the top was a 500, 600K piece. It came down. Moral of the story is this watch at some point was 7 or 8% less than this, okay? You're gonna buy something and wear it and love it, and you always have your money, and it's, you know, it can always go up in price, which this will, you know, so let's say 7 or 8%. If you were to buy a Tiffany diamond, let's say in 2018, what would you get if you went to go trade it in? What would you get on it?
I don't know. I mean,
you'd probably get
a slap in the face.
Yeah, you get a slap in the face. So you probably get 20% of what you paid. So let's say you paid 100 grand, you probably get 20% on that diamond. And that's just such an amazing thing about watches is your money is always going to be there. Yeah, there's going to be some roller coasters, but in the long run, you're always going to get that 7-8% a year. And it's just such an amazing hobby. Your money's always going to be there.
100%. 100%. I mean, one thing for me, I know Garrett's super fashionable guy, loves your clothing. After I got into watches, like that's where I would like to position my money. I feel like with anything else, jewelry, clothing, I know we love our cars, but even cars, depends. I mean, if you get into the Ferraris and stuff, different story, but regularly, they're all gonna suck your money away, where watches are really stable, great investments, and when I buy a watch, I don't have any buyer's remorse because it's a good investment. It's a good use of capital.
I think in the future, I think we're still gonna see those steady increases. Yeah, there could be some dips. There could be, you know, things could increase. But I think going into the end of the year, I think certain pieces will definitely go up. I think the market will go up all in all. I think one thing that, you know, some buyers are a little bit scared about is that the stock market keeps going up. Watches haven't. I think that's also, it's probably at that point where it's really corrected everything. And I think we're gonna start to see a little bit of boost, especially going into Q4. So let's see.
All right, so as you know, it's my birthday this weekend. I'm going on a yacht, wondering if there's any pieces from here that I could potentially wear.
Like what?
Maybe a classic watch like this one?
No. It's brand new. Can't scratch it.
Okay, the 67, my favorite watch.
It's water resistant. It's not waterproof. Absolutely not.
What about Charles Leclerc? You not see that picture?
What's that?
He was in the ocean with his 3503.
Yeah, he totaled his watch, but he probably gets another free one.
Okay.
Yeah. How about this 126 234 36 millimeter date just?
36?
Yeah, they're
No.
waterproof. Come on, dude, you're gonna pick up a lot of chicks.
The Panda at the Panda, I could put it on a rubber strap.
Yeah, it's pre-owned. That or the Ghost will be your best. Just make sure the crowns are screwed down and you can swim in it. No worries.
Are you sure I can't wear one of the RMs?
They're not even waterproof. If someone tells you they're waterproof, it's a joke. They're not waterproof.
Skeleton.
That's waterproof, but this is like brand new. So that's actually a tricky one, which to pick there. Actually, I know what I would pick.
Panda?
The Ghost.
The Ghost?
Yeah, I just love Oyster Flex. I love the technology on how they have like a vented system, how it sits off the wrist, so there's more breathability. It's not stuck on your wrist. I think in the Miami heat, it's nice. I think it's just different than the Panda. You see a lot of Pandas out there, real and fake.
What about this? No.
Nah.
Okay. All right. I guess we're gonna go double Daytona.
Yeah.